Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I am going to be taking you through how I made this sugar skull paper sculpture. So I have my printed sketch, tracing paper, xacto knife, glue, tweezers, toothpick, brushes, gems, water and a palette, and some gouache paint. So let's get started. First thing I always do is I trace out the basic shape that I'm working with first. So right now I'm going to be doing the head. I tape that onto the paper and I cut it out. Now I'll be sketching out the face onto the paper. So not gonna lie, this is the second attempt. The first one, I just really didn't like how the face was coming out. Alright, so after erasing some of that, I am going in with my gouache paint to paint on some of the details. So we're going to start here with just some black. And I mainly used black for the whole thing and added a little pop of color around the eyes, the flower petals around the eyes. I really like painting sugar skulls for some reason. It reminds me of when I used to do face and body painting, and during Halloween time it was a really popular requested design and I always loved it. Just something about it being a skull but at the same time pretty with the gems, and you could do really nice eye makeup around it, and it just looks like, even though it's something that's not normally pretty like a skull, but it can end up looking so beautiful with the colors and the crystals around it and you know, all of that. So it takes me back to those days. And then using a watered down version of gouache, of the black gouache paint, I'm just adding in some shading around the face. So here I'm mixing up some of my hot pink gouache. I love mixing paint, it's just so relaxing, right? And I'm gonna go in with this pop of color here, and I chose just to stay kind of in the same color here. I'm just using the pink and then a little bit of orange and some yellow. Then I'm using my Copic Fineliner to just trace around some of the petals and add some more smaller designs. Check out this cute little tweezer that I got. It's like a little geisha, so cute. And so I'm using this to pick up the little gems that I'm using to decorate around the flower petals on the eyes. And I believe these are Swarovski gems. that I've had for a while, so I'm putting them to some good use now. And that is the finished head. So now I'm going to move on to the other bits and pieces, just the same as before. I trace it with the tracing paper, and then I put it onto the paper that I'm going to cut out, the shape. And then for the flower petals, I don't really need to trace because I already know how the flower petals, more or less the size and the shape I'm using. So I just draw these directly onto the paper and cut them out. Then I get my toothpick and give them a little bit of a bend so they look more like a flower petal shape. They have a little bit of curves around them. And I'll go ahead and glue these down. Boom, we have a finished flower and a couple more that I did off camera. Now I'm going to be working on her veil piece. So I'm going to trace this and cut it out on some black paper. I tried out a couple different things with the veil that I ended up not liking. Like if you see on the left corner, left side, I had cut a lace shape on top of it, but I didn't really like how that was looking. So I ended up just sketching kind of like a lacy pattern on top of this black piece, and then I'm going to go in with my gold acrylic paint and just paint in the lace pattern. I kind of like this better. I think that gold really pops on the black. And finally, I'm gonna go ahead and cut out some leaf shapes. So what you'll see me doing here is I draw the leaf shape and I color in or shade in the spots that I don't want to cut. And so what I'm cutting is just the negative space that's left inside of the leaf shape. Right, so my favorite part is just going ahead and assembling all this together. I use some foam dots to make some of the pieces pop up. So here I'm just kind of testing out a couple of things before I glue it down. It ends up looking very similar to this at the end, but this right now is just not taped on. I'm just kind of like checking to see how it'll all look and if I need any more leaves or gold bits. And then I just use the foam and some glue, put it all down on the paper, and that is it. I hope you enjoyed watching my process of making this paper sculpture, and I hope I see you next time.